One look at these Marder cannon rounds, and the enemy might have decided the battle wasn't worth showing up for. With the anti-drone protection mounted, the German IFV looks weird. But this is pure German power, and right now you're watching the beginning of its mission. Will this protection save the Marder? Will the crew have enough ammo? Here they absolutely believe humans have a sixth sense, an instinct that warns you about what's coming, but you don't have to guess anything, because you're about to see it all with your own eyes. The sky is overcast, the sun is nowhere to be seen, but it's exactly this kind of weather that gives the Marder crew their best chance. That's why the Ukrainians decide to make this push. A Humvee is also part of the mission. Past that arch begins the gray zone, where the straight road isn't always the shortest one. They're being guided like a shepherd guiding a herd. Only the shepherd is their own UAV. The Humvee follows behind for now. But it seems the connection is lost. The crew isn't responding. Most likely Russian EW is jamming them, but there's hope the EW is blocking only one direction of the signal. A normal situation in war, so the mission continues.
Костян, я Ярий, якщо мене чуєш, зараз буде, получається, 50 метрів і поворот наліво.
Oops, but the Marder turns right. Is the connection fully gone? Fortunately, no. Even though the thin, crunchy snow hasn't yet turned into dirty slush, the ice is unforgiving, and it becomes the first real test for the German IFV.
Костян, давай задки, и впереди тебя сейчас будет техтехаммер, и за ним прием.
The Marder's tracks handle light off-road terrain pretty well, but they're helpless against ice. Damn, which genius came up with these rubber inserts? But look, the Marder is already closing in on enemy positions, so to stay focused on the mission, we'll return to its tracks later. But there is time for you to subscribe to this channel. Hit it, because your subscription hits the YouTube algorithm like a shot of adrenaline.
Едь прямо!
Because of the tension, the gunner started a bit early. It happens, and far worse things happen too. But while the Humvee covers the withdrawal, the Marder pushes several dozen meters farther forward. There it is, the edge of the tree line where they need to open up. The automatic 20mm Mk20 cannon literally cuts a chunk out of the forest, 880 rounds per minute. That's not your gentle boom boom. Inside, everything vibrates like the Marder is about to lift off the ground.
У нас еще есть трохи времени, хотя бы 5 минут или 3, чтобы его вывести, и будет все хорошо.
The cannon's ammo load is only 1,250 rounds, so the gunner's work ends quickly. But this isn't even half the mission, because everything around them is mined.
Костик, иди по своим следам.
The 20mm Rheinmetall cannon isn't the Marder's only weapon. It also has a coaxial 7.62mm MG3 with a giant ammo reserve, 5,000 rounds. But the commander ordered the MG3 to be used only on the way back, if absolutely needed. You never want to return completely empty, because from behind any tree or any ruined wall, a desperate RPG gunner can jump out.
Сука, прикинь. Баба Яга. Хлопцы, вы видите, Баба Яга над ним висит?
Bad news. Baba Yaga is a type of UAV that can have 6 motors and lift up to 15 kilograms of explosives. Baba Yaga always appears out of nowhere and keeps striking until it kills. But the Marder crew gets lucky. This Baba Yaga is already empty, see? so the crew keeps moving. But after a few more kilometers, the Marder still takes a hit.
Його в'їбали.
But no. The vehicle is intact, though it looks like the transmission or the engine took damage, because the Marder is standing in the middle of an intersection like a Christmas tree in the town square. That is very dangerous. But finally the engine fires up. The Marder keeps moving. Most likely, the operator of the Russian Yaga UAV passed the Marder's coordinates to his colleagues, and they managed to catch up with the IFV just before it exited the gray zone. But the Marder survived the strike, and with a damaged triplex, it returns to base late in the evening.
Знаете, это хорошо. Генералы теперь будут разматы.
Да.
Паша скажет, все равно пароль.
Maybe there were some mistakes, but we're not generals. And if you are a general, drop a comment and tell us what you think about this mission. And if you're not a general yet, just hit like and keep watching, because this isn't even the hottest Marder mission of the day. In these rare frames, a Marder goes into the assault together with a Bradley and a Stryker. Who's the odd one out here? Probably the Stryker. It's a wheeled APC, so its protection is much lighter. On top of that, the 12.7mm M2 Browning machine gun used on the Ukrainian Stryker is no match for the Marder's 20mm cannon or the Bradley's 25mm Bushmaster cannon, so the Stryker is the first to drop out of the fight. After a drone strike, it turns away. One tumbled overboard, and then there were two. Bradley and Marder split up to make the job harder for the Russian operators and keep pushing the assault. Just a few minutes later, a drone hits the Marder. Russian operators clearly picked it as the second target. The German armor holds the hit, and the vehicle heads for the forest for cover under the trees. But even there, another drone arrives. At this moment, the Bradley keeps executing the mission, firing non-stop and closing in on Russian positions. But a drone catches up with it too, and then a second one. But the Bradley crew manages to get into the woods under tree cover. What happens next? Another Marder enters the fight. Ukrainian commanders decided to complete the mission and support their comrades. And we consider this final assault the most spontaneous attack of this entire war. Look, it rushes into battle even without a grill, relying only on its EW. Inside are fighters reinforcing the German armor with their own prayers. And it clearly works. The first drone flies past. Then two anti-tank missiles also miss. The Marder pours lead generously on enemy positions. Two more missiles miss, and another drone overshoots, dropping like a sick bird just a few meters away. And there they are, the enemy trenches. That's it, job done. Now it's the assault troops' turn to clear the trenches. A few meters of territory are retaken, several Russian soldiers are killed, and several surrender. Well, luck favors the bold. But victory comes to those who bring along a very specific teammate, a tank. These are the frames of the brightest Marder mission in Ukraine. This may be the peak of the old German IFV's career. So first on stage is the tank. Its cannon roars so hard that the walls of the building where the Russians are hiding shake and crumble into dust. A few more shots, and even the Ukrainian drone operators watching this scene are shocked. Now the little one charges into battle, the Marder with infantry inside. First, it smashes the corner of the building so it doesn't take a shot in the back. Then it breaks through the first fence, then the second fence, and bursts onto the target's territory. Within seconds, the Ukrainian IFV is right next to the main building and drops off the troops. The job is done. Now the infantry has the slow, precise work of clearing the area. Despite its age, the Marder doesn't look like some worn-out relic that has already lived its life. Ukraine received around 200 Marder IFVs, used mostly by the Marine Corps and the air assault units. Most of them are the 1A3 modification introduced in the late 1980s. Many have been lost in brutal battles. But the Marder still fights, still shoots, still breaks through, and still saves infantry, proving that old age is not a verdict. On the contrary, its forged solid German armor still takes hits from FPV drones and shrapnel strikes with dignity, giving the crew a chance to survive in situations where lighter vehicles turn into scrap metal. And the main thing, the combination of the 20mm cannon and the MG3 machine gun remains one of the most balanced tandems on the battlefield. You've just seen it yourself. The only combo that works better than this German pair is the American duo, the Bushmaster cannon plus the coaxial 7.62mm machine gun on the Bradley. Check out the videos on our channel with Bradley duels and assaults, where its cannon turns Russian armor into a colander. And in these playlists, even more gripping stories are waiting for you. Click on any of them and keep diving into the world of battles, decisions, and machines that change the course of the war. Stay safe.